Welcome back to Slashback Cinema, where we dig up the strange, the scrappy, and the unforgettable horror of the 70s and 80s. I'm Shawnee.
And I'm Ryan. This week, we're unpacking a movie that can't decide what it wants to be. Part haunted house, part monster movie, part Vietnam War trauma.
It's a wildly uneven ride, packed with rubber creatures out of a Jim Henson nightmare and old house chaos.
So crack a beer, lock the doors, and watch out for the raccoons. This is House.
This is our second episode in which we're talking about a movie called House.
Yeah. We didn't really plan this out very well. We've run out of movies. Now we're like, let's watch the other House movie.
Not at all. We actually have quite a list of movies for 2026.
Oh, yeah.
But
sure.
Yeah, I thought because you loved the Japanese House so much, maybe you just want to watch another House and see if it holds up to the original Japanese one.
Yeah, that was not my goal here, but yeah, as I was watching it and actually trying to find it to watch, I was like, oh wait, it's not the medical doctor show. That's the
Right.
wrong one. Not from 1977 Japan. Nope. Oh, here it is. So there's a lot of things out there called House.
It's so the fact that you can just go on YouTube and find a copy of the movie, I always take that as kind of a bad sign that if the original production company doesn't care that people are watching it for free on YouTube, it must not be pulling in money today. That is a sign to me that something could be wrong.
You know, it could be one indicator. You also have flagged that when a movie has 7 different names, that could be problematic potentially as well.
Right.
So Shawnee, right out of the gate, I've got a hot take on this one.
All right.
House, I'm not quite sure that it's a haunted house movie. I think it might be a Vietnam War movie wearing a rubber monster mask. What's your take on that?
What I thought of is that occurred to me too. The problem with it being a like Vietnam trauma movie, like a la Jacob's Ladder, is Jacob's Ladder is so much better at doing the Vietnam trauma. In fact, pretty much any of 100 movies from the 1980s do a better job with the Vietnam trauma. This movie gives me teenagers who filmed in their backyard vibes. Those Vietnam flashback scenes, that is just like somebody in Santa Monica or something filming in a not especially dense woods in the backyard. But did you feel transported when you watched these Vietnam scenes?
We've built this set in a studio lobby, and it's you really felt the confines of the 40-foot by 40-foot dimensions they had built for that set.
Yeah,
they're like, some more plastic leaves over here.
They just kept shooting it from different angles, the same room.
Yeah. This movie, what I kept coming back to was like it felt like it wanted to be part comedy. There was part drama. There was part war story. But it never really quite picked the lane. I know we're kind of just jumping right into it, but would it be a better movie if it picked the lane, or is it? I guess we'll talk about it.
Yeah, all right, let's get into that. But how about we do a summary first?
House, 1985. This one's about a Vietnam vet turned pulp horror author. He inherits this house from his aunt, who met her untimely demise, and he's really hoping for this quiet place to reset and start writing again. But instead, he finds this haunted house. It's full of monsters, missing children, and this buried guilt, where every door seems to be a portal to this other world. So, it's got a lot of different facets.
And I kept thinking watching this movie that the script of the movie was better than the movie that is actually on screen. Like, the idea of this movie is actually not bad. It's got this guy and his super famous movie star wife. They're split up because their son disappeared. They think their son was like kidnapped. He just was playing in the yard and disappeared one day. A very 80s trope, by the way.
Yeah.
And so that destroys their marriage. Then the plot of the movie is it his grandmother or his aunt who dies?
It's his aunt. Yeah.
All right. His aunt dies one day. Weirdly, she's like very elderly, but she also commits suicide. So that's a red flag that something could be wrong. And he moves into the house that she lived in. And he's a writer. And by the way, did you recognize the actor that played the main character, Roger?
Dude, yeah, absolutely. It was the Greatest American Hero actor, William Catt.
Yeah.
Which were you a fan of that show, Shawnee?
Oh my God, Greatest American Hero, Greatest American TV show, more like. I love that show.
All right, ready? Believe it or not, I never thought I could feel so free.
I have actually listened to that. I've looked up that song and listened to it on Spotify. And I still watch some old episodes every once in a while if I come across them on YouTube. I try to show them to my kids. My kids, let's just say they didn't hold up to the MCU like my kids were expecting. But that show wasn't on very long, maybe 2 years. But oh
Yeah,
my God, my friends and I would play,
same.
like we would act
That's
out the scenes.
yeah, at Cedarmere there, you'd have recess, and then we were all playing the different characters.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was really just we all wanted to be the greatest American hero. I don't know that anyone wanted to be Max or that other guy, but
No, the FBI guy was cool.
and
And the other thing about is it Will Cat or William Cat is
yeah,
he came close to being Luke Skywalker.
I know. Like he was like number two. You could totally see him as as Luke Skywalker, although
Yeah.
not anymore. But like,
Right.
yeah, he would have worked.
Well, we have to find the rebels. What we're carrying belongs to them.
Well, their bases are very well hidden.
But yeah, you can go online and see him like reading the script and like acting out a scene. And yeah, there's definitely a certain type they were looking for.
Yeah.
The other thing about Back to House is it's got like a who's who of 80s TV show cast
Well,
members.
yeah, you got Norm from Cheers and
Yeah,
Bull
George
from
Wendt.
Night Court. Like,
Right,
I was
Richard
like,
Mole.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, the three of them, William Cat, George Wendt, and Richard Mole, are like playing the three main characters of this movie.
Yeah, and they did that apparently like to save on cost. You got the well-known faces from TV. You know, now I think there's a lot of back and forth between TV and movies, but back in the day that you were either a TV actor or you were a movie
Right.
star. There's no like crossover, so it was an interesting way in. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was pleasantly surprised to see them show up, and especially Norm Harold in the movie. He was great.
I mean, George Wendt, he's just a great comedic actor. And he has this really funny scene where he doesn't know that his neighbor has, when he's moved into the house, that the old woman that lived there before was his aunt. And George Wendt is like,
Woman lived here before you was nuts. Biggest bitch under the sun. Just a senile old hag, really. Wouldn't be surprised if someone just got fed up and offed her, you know what I mean?
She was my aunt.
Heart of gold, though. Just a saint, really. And such a beautiful woman for her age. Would you like some dinner?
that was great. So yeah, you're paying for that George Wendt timing, and he delivered. I thought he had some of the funniest scenes in the movie. So yeah, so the problem is if you're a horror comedy, you have to be able to pull off two different genres well. You can't
Well,
just do one.
American Werewolf in London did that. Like,
Right.
may have been the best one we've seen so far that played in that space in that time period. But yeah, this one it was kind of all over the place, and then it had this weird emotional kind of trauma layer with as we were talking about with the Vietnam War thing. The way some of the actors, especially William Katz, it seemed like he wasn't quite sure what he was supposed to be doing. Am I supposed to be upset? Is this supposed to be funny? Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing with this role? So there was that, and then digging into who originally wrote the script was Fred Decker, which, do you remember that name, Shani?
Oh my God. Yeah. I feel like
Night
quite
of the Creeps.
yes.
So it was Fred Decker, but then the rewrite on it was that guy, Ethan Wiley, and he wrote it as a comedy, which Fred
Mhm.
Decker did not intend. So like, I feel like some of that reworking and rewriting was already happening with this film in terms of maybe confusing its roots or the genesis of this film. Seems like it maybe became something that it wasn't intended to be originally.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say is Sean Cunningham is the producer and Harry Manfredini does the music. Do those names stand out to you? We've seen them before
Friday
too.
the 13th action there, yeah.
Right. So this movie has a couple of people from Friday the 13th, and so I thought the horror would be actually more horrifying. In fact, House is rated R. I actually kept thinking, was this a movie or was this a made-for-TV movie? Because it had
Yeah, same.
made-for-TV energy all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, it was all over the place. Yeah.
As my daughter would say, it's giving me made-for-TV.
Well, I think Sean Cunningham he was interested in this one because he saw it as a way out of like the hardcore horror and saw it as more of a transitional kind of film, which maybe I don't know. What was he transitioning to is the question.
Well, yeah, if this movie did well, then you've got like Ghostbusters on your hand or a Gremlins on your hand. So I could see the potential.
Well, and it did do well. Did you read about like how much
Yeah.
it made? Yeah.
Yeah. So, it made like 22 million bucks.
Yeah, and it was like a 7 million. I might have the original
Oh,
investment cost.
I wrote down the budget was 3.5 million.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, clearly it made money and did well and connected with an audience and
Yeah.
spawned what? There were four
House
three
movies.
sequels beyond this. Yeah, 4 house movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 sequels. Although they're wildly different. We need to dig into some of these other ones because I think William Katt comes back for one of them, maybe the 4th House movie. But
Right,
then
third or the fourth. Yeah.
House 3 is a completely different story. Like it seems like they were just looking for scripts and then they would just kind of work them into a house story, even though they kind of have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah. I heard that on the third and fourth they also moved the house to the desert or something.
Yeah,
Like
I
no
mean,
one will notice.
right.
No, it's over here.
I do like the fact that the tagline for House 2 is the second story. Good for you. I like a good horror house pun.
Right. Let's talk about the poster for a minute because like that's such an awesome poster. But the tagline is like "Ding dong, you're dead," which is great. Like I love it.
My only complaint about the poster, which I do like the visual design of it, it's like a zombie hand detached from an arm, ringing a doorbell. That has nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. The zombies are not knocking on your door like Jehovah's Witnesses. They already are in the house.
All right. So
But who
artistic
cares?
license, though, like
Yes.
there was a severed hand. It might not look like the one on the poster, and that got a lot of screen time. But you're right. I think whoever came up with that idea, like clearly, I remember that poster. I remember seeing
Really?
the VHS cover back in the day, and I was like, damn, like that movie looks intense. And I think that is part of what threw me off when I went into this film. I was expecting something way scarier, more intense, and I was like, what's happening right now? Is this supposed to be funny? I don't know. Right.
As we've talked about before, I do like the fact that the monsters in the movie, no CGI, it's all in camera stuff. So it is just a pile full of rubber suits. In fact, everyone in this movie is going to die from exposure to microplastics because the amount of rubber that they are wrestling with and cutting and pulling on each other. It's like I do like the monsters in this movie. They're all rubber suits. They all look like Muppets.
I would say there were almost 2 kinds of rubber monsters that showed up. There was the kind of Vietnam zombie one, which I thought was really cool. And then you had these other weird ones that almost felt a little like the Deadites from Evil Dead, kind of that kind of like almost exaggerated character, but almost then they even went further and landed in the land of killer clowns from outer space. Like they were that kind of weird looking, especially the 2 that were trying to take the kid up the chimney.
Yes.
I was like, what? I was like, even the like character monsters can't quite figure out which lane they should be in this film.
They don't know which movie they're in.
No, they're like, wait, is this one scary or gross or are we going clown show?
There's a scene where William Katt is it's not called propelling. What is it when you use a rope to go down a side of a building?
Oh, God damn.
Welcome to senility with repelling.
Repelling. Wait, what did you say? Welcome to
Welcome to the Senile podcast with Ryan and Shawnee, where we say, what's that word for 30 minutes and then sign off, asking you to tune in next week. Repelling. Anyway,
yes, repelling.
The point of that, me asking you what the word is there's a point in which William Katt is repelling like into the dark land, and this like cool, I don't know how to describe it, zombie bird flies up to him. I really like that bird design. The reason I was looking forward to this conversation is the monsters of this movie look so much like drawings you used to do in high school. I can't believe you didn't see this movie before. I feel like had you seen this in high school, it might have been one of your favorites.
Well, I didn't know that it was such a like monster-driven horror film. Like I thought it was just like a scary, like haunted house movie, and that's I guess that's what I was like so shocked. I'm like, what's up with all the rubber monsters? But yeah, that particular like flying demon creature was great, and then like snatches his shotgun out of his hand, and then he's like still flying around, and then he just like loads up the shotgun and shoots the rope, and he goes falling into the abyss.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like that. And then also it's pretty like it builds the tension because he comes with this weapon. They immediately snatch it out, and now he's got nothing. And he's in this land. But yeah. All right. So do you have any lore, or should we just jump into favorite scenes?
Let's get in the scenes. What do you got, man?
It's the scene where his wife returns to the house and knocks on the door, and William Katt's got a shotgun, and he's trying to play off why he's walking around with his shotgun, and then I think the shell rolls off the table, so she bends down to pick it up, and when she jumps up, it's this ridiculous looking monster, but it's wearing her clothes. But the monster, it looks like a Peter Jackson. It looks like a 1,000-year-old woman. It's all dusty and overweight, and it was not a scary monster, but it was funny to look at, and it also had a very non-scary voice. Hello, Peter. It was just like it wasn't even trying to be scary.
That was a weird scene because that started kind of the weirdness of like, and then he shoots her because she's a monster, and then she turns into his wife, and he's like, and then I'm like, did he just kill his wife? Like, and he hides her in the hallway closet, and the police come, and there's like this whole scene that was actually that was like where I was really like, where is this? I don't understand this film. Like, where's it going? Like, what is happening here?
Right. You can see that there's a version of the script that is much darker.
Yeah. Right,
The monsters trick him into shooting his wife. But then it turns out it wasn't really his wife.
You don't really find out until the end of the film, though. That was
we just spoiled the ending of a 4-year-old movie.
Sorry, everyone. One of my favorite scenes was it was the backyard burial. So the monster that we're just talking about. There's actually a pretty funny sequence that winds up with that monster getting beheaded by these floating garden tools that have been chasing him around since he went out to the woodshed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he's killed his monster ex-wife, and now he's beheaded her, and he's got her head in a bag, and then the body is in another trash bag, and he drags it out to the backyard.
And it looks like the monster again. It's like not his wife. It's like return to monster form or something.
So it's the monster form with the creepy hand that keeps showing up. Well, anyway, there's a neighbor across the street that we've seen a couple times in scenes where like she's very attractive, and she's run by and given him the smile, and so he goes out to the backyard to bury this thing, and that woman inexplicably is swimming in the pool in his backyard. She's like, "Oh, your aunt used to let me swim here all the time. How you doing?" And so it's this funny interaction where she's like,
"What's under the plastic? A sapling?"
A sapling, yes, it's an apricot tree.
Oh, I used to come and swim here when your aunt lived here. I hope you don't think I'm imposing or anything.
Oh, no. Not at all.
"What do you got there? You're planting some saplings?" It's like, "Oh yes, definitely some saplings." And meanwhile they're talking, and like the monster is like reaching out and grabbing him with the hand around his ankle, and he's like at the spade, he's like stabbing, like trying not to have the woman notice that he's got this monstrosity in a bag on the ground, and it keeps moving around. That was actually generally kind of funny. And I thought, well done.
This movie made me want to watch Evil Dead because I thought that kind of tone is a very Evil Dead tone.
Totally.
The only thing I think this movie like whiffed on is the monsters weren't really scary. In Evil Dead, it's both like kind of funny, but you're laughing with like a sense of anxiety.
Yes. Yeah.
This movie, it's like the humor's like slapsticky, and so that undermines the horror of it. But then the horror isn't scary enough, and so sometimes that undermines the comedy of it. I feel like the two aren't quite working together.
Yeah. They haven't quite blended the water and oil in this one.
Right.
The other scene that it's kind of similar vibe and humor was when Harold Norm from Cheers keeps coming over inexplicably. Like I think at one point in the film he shows up at midnight to bring his neighbor beer and maybe some snacks, which I always do that. I go over to the neighbor's house around midnight and just show up with beer. I don't know about you, Shawnee, what happens in Wisconsin. But anyway.
He has a nicer neighbor. I don't have any neighbors that do that for me.
Yeah, I know. His neighbor Harold has been starting to question him a little bit in terms of his mental health. He's been keeping an eye on him, and maybe that's why he came over. But so, and I think Roger knows he's kind of onto him, so he's like, "Come upstairs, I need your help." And I've got this problem. And well, the problem is actually that there's this interdimensional demon beast that keeps coming out of the closet, but he doesn't want to tell Harold that. So he's like, you know what? I've got this really giant raccoon problem that they keep getting into this closet. I need your help. And he convinces him to take this harpoon gun. And there's this whole elaborate scene of him like hiding behind the door with a mattress and trying to open the door. Anyway, the demon does come out, and Harold fires the harpoon, but of course the line runs out, and he's trying to reel him with the fishing rod. Like,
Yes.
it was definitely like comedic and fun. That might have been the funniest point in the movie. But you're right, the monster itself, like, not particularly horrific, like, or scary. You're kind of like, what is going on with this thing?
But the monster in that scene you're talking about, that is, I thought, the coolest monster in the movie.
Yeah.
It's the most, like, I thought they put the most money into thinking about what it should look like, and it's genuinely like creepy to look at. When it does hop out of the closet, it is startling. And so George Wendt's like shock at seeing this 9-foot quote unquote raccoon, you can understand it. Like, what the hell am I looking at right now? So I actually like that monster sequence, and then it becomes like a slapsticky. Yeah, William Cat gets caught up in the line, and then he gets pulled in. This is why I said earlier that I feel like the script of this movie is better than the movie, because the plotting of this is actually kind of interesting. So, Roger, William Cat, ends up at the last act of the movie, going into this dark world. And the dark world is basically like literally his Vietnam. It's like the thing that's haunting him. And I think a lot of great horror movies do this. The horror is actually the thing in your head that you're being tortured by.
Right.
And so it turns out he's tortured by this thing that happened to him in Vietnam, where, or his backyard, where a friend of his was shot, played by Richard Mole. And Richard, his character's name is Big Ben, says to Roger, just kill me. Like, basically, I don't want to get caught and I'm going to die. And Roger runs away to get help. And instead of being killed, though, Big Ben's character gets captured and then tortured by the enemy. And so when Roger Cobb goes into the Darkland, he discovers his son is actually alive and in a cage, and he rescues his son, and then he has to fight Richard Mole. He has to fight his own shame for letting his friend die. Like, I didn't feel like the acting skill required of what you're asking of to be both hilarious and also traumatized. I feel like this movie is just, its reach is greater than its grasp.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
But like, just on paper, I'm like, this is actually a really interesting story. So in the last act here, zombie Richard Mole is in the house as a zombie. What did you think of that zombie costume? It's all in camera rubber suit.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Apparently, it was quite a number of puppeteers to run that suit, and it was quite a big character too. You could tell it was like gigantic. I mean, Richard Mole's a big dude anyway, but
Yeah.
I thought that was well done. Right. So all this is good. The thing I kept thinking about was, okay, that's fine as your framework that your son has been kidnapped by your mental demons and transported to this other world, which the whole time was just in your head anyway. But so does that mean he like locked his own kid in the basement of this house for like the last 2 years while he got divorced from his wife? Like, what the hell's going on?
There's several parts of the plot that you really can't think about that much. Like,
no, yeah, just that you can't ask these questions. Yeah. Also, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, this thing just happened to you. Just leave the house. But he keeps going back to bed, or he just like, they would cut to a different scene. He'd be like, that happened. A demon from another dimension just came through the closet. I'm going to take a nap. So let's bring it in for Stabby Scores, my friend.
Right.
What are you thinking on this one?
Do I have to go first?
All right, I'll go first. For the listeners who are just joining us, maybe you listen to one in 2025. This is 2026. We have revised our Stabby Score rating Now it's 1 to 4. Like before we were 1 to 5. We're all over the place before, but now the ratings are 1, worthless; 2, a couple
Couple of
scenes worth
scenes.
watching; 3, like pretty good, some flaws; and 4, great movie or fantastic movie. So that's the new landscape. I will say I watched this movie and then finished it, and I was like, huh. I was like, my first thought was like, well, that was weird. And I didn't like it at first. Like, I guess I was thinking it was going to be a much scarier film
Yeah.
than it was. It was all over the place, like we just talked about. Like, there was some horror, there was some comedy, there was some drama, there was like this, like, kind of like deep emotional layer that I don't know that fully got played out to its potential. So you got this weird mix going on. It's kind of like a hot mess. But the more I thought about it, it was like kind of like a fine wine from 1985. You crack it open, pour it in the glass, let it air out, and then
Yeah.
you start like smelling the different aromas of creative rubber monster suits, some great character actors from the 80s. And then you've got like a really good story, like you were talking about, like, or bones of a story. I would say where this movie fell down was like the execution and how it actually came together. So in the end, I'm like, is this? I started at 1. I was like, is this a 3? But I'm gonna land it at 2. Like a few
Yeah.
good scenes. You know, I'm glad I watched it. It wasn't awful, but it was not as good of a movie as I thought it was going to be.
Right. That's interesting because your rating is based in part on your expectations of what you thought the movie would be.
And it was a movie I knew about for all this time and never seen it. I saw the poster. I was like, oh
Right.
man, this is going to be like kind of like gross, intense, like Evil Dead. And then you're sort of like, it did feel like I was watching a sitcom meets after school
Yes.
special slash.
Right. And when you
I
think
don't know.
about The Thing, like it was possible in camera to do much scarier stuff than
Yeah.
this movie even tried to do. I just felt like, and I'm sorry to if the casting crew ever hear this, I felt like this is not the like most talented group of people because they had what I thought was a decent script, but the monsters aren't quite as good. The directing isn't quite like as scary as it should be. The laughs aren't quite where they should be. I kept thinking 2, but then there are scenes that are pretty great. And when we discussed our new rating system, a 2 is a couple of scenes worth watching, but not worth watching the whole movie. I'm going with 2.5. So I am kind of stuck
see,
between.
I forgot about the half rating. Like I got so locked in and like it just got okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really stuck between a 2 and a 3. So
Okay.
this is perfect 2.5 territory because, and then my wife said, I told my wife I was giving it a 2.5, and she said, Shawnee, isn't that 3 territory? Because she knows I hate giving movies a 3 out of 5 because I hate being up the middle. But this movie is like, I kind of do want to see House 2, 3, and 4. Like,
I do want to see House 2. Yeah.
and the fact that this movie makes me want to keep watching it, I'm like, well, that should be a 3. The problem is this movie doesn't really work that well.
Yeah.
So I'm really stuck between a 2 and a 3.
I mean, my note to them was like, just turn down the lights, man. Like it would have
Yes.
been I think someone should recut this film, adjust the filter, and then Harry Manfredini.
Yeah.
Is that his name? The guy that did the score. I don't think he was quite on the level of delivering what he did for Friday the 13th.
No. Yeah, the music for this movie, it sounds like a made-for-TV movie. My wife
Right.
said it sounded to her like sitcom music. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
totally.
just
It just kind of had that 80s sitcom vibe. Right. They just need to make it dark, like, and then cut in like Friday the 13th movie, like,
right.
that would
And
have taken care of everything.
what if the Vietnam sequences were genuinely scary? Like if they
Like
were really
Jacob's Ladder.
intense. Yes.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like this movie, it was a swing and a miss, but it has bones. Like there's something
Yeah.
about this story. I feel like they could remake this and it could really work.
Well, I don't want to go back and change my rating now that I already delivered it, but yeah, I will just say your 2.5 star rating. I'm thinking about it, man.
Yeah.
I forgot about the half stab.
Yeah. We're doing half stabs. Now I have
Half
to come up
stabs.
with a sound effect for half a stab.
Yeah.
Boink.
I think it's doorbell rings for this one.
That's right. How many doorbell rings do you give it? That wraps up another trip down memory lane. Hopefully, you enjoyed revisiting 1985's House as much as we did.
If you want to support our show, tell your friends and your enemies about Slashback Cinema, and be sure to check out our merch store at slashbackcinema.com. Every bit helps, and we promise not to spend it all on harpoons and door locks.
And we want to hear from you. If you've got a favorite memory from the 70s or 80s or a classic horror movie you'd like us to dissect, drop us a line at slashbackcinema.com because your suggestions keep the conversation alive.